How do greenhouse gas emissions from livestock farming accelerate climate change?
Livestock farming is essential for feeding billions of people, but it also plays a major role in climate change. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), the livestock sector accounts for about 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, a figure that even surpasses emissions from the entire transportation sector. A key reason for this is methane, a greenhouse gas which is far more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide. Animals like cows, sheep, and goats release methane as a part of their digestion process, making livestock farming a major driver of global warming.
In this video, we'll break down how livestock emissions contribute to climate change, some stakeholders facing similar issues, and what solutions exist to address this growing problem. Livestock farming is a major cause of climate change because it releases harmful greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide. These gases come from animal digestion, especially in cows, sheep, and goats, manure, and farming activities. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, over 90% of methane from cattle comes from burping during a process called enteric fermentation. Methane traps 28 times more heat than carbon dioxide, making it extremely dangerous for our atmosphere.
Manure storage is another big problem. When large amounts of manure break down with oxygen, they release both methane and nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is even worse. It is 265 times more powerful than CO2 in trapping heat. This fact is taken from EPA. Also, cutting down forests to make space for grazing animals to grow crops like corn and soy for animal feed leads to more carbon dioxide being released. The land use change not only adds up carbon emissions but also reduces the number of trees that absorb carbon dioxide.
On top of that, farmers use synthetic fertilizers and pesticides that release nitrous oxide, and the use of fossil fuels in tractors, irrigation, and transportation adds more carbon dioxide into the air. All of this shows that livestock farming affects the climate in many ways, not just through the animals themselves, but also through how we feed and manage them.
In summary, emissions from animals themselves, their waste, and the entire system built to feed and house them all play a role in climate change. Even small sources like decomposing plant matter in the soil can add up when you consider the scale of global livestock farming.
This picture was made using the Global Livestock Environmental Assessment Model, also known as GLEAM. It shows how much greenhouse gas in the form of carbon dioxide is produced by animals around the world. This includes gases from their digestion/enteric fermentation and from where their waste or manure is kept. The picture breaks it down by the main types of livestock like cows, pigs, and chickens.
This picture shows that feed production and processing contribute about 45% of the whole sector. Enteric fermentation produces about 2.8 gigatons, which is 39%, is the largest source of emissions. Manure storage with 0.71 gigatons account for about 10% of the total. The remaining 6% is attributable to the processing and transportation of animal products.
One of the biggest consequences of livestock farming is deforestation, especially in tropical regions. In fact, 41% of tropical deforestation is caused by clearing land for cattle pastures out of the 10 million hectares of forest lost every year worldwide. When these lush, carbon-rich forests are destroyed, the carbon stored in trees and soil is released back into the atmosphere, worsening global warming and even contributing to ozone layer thinning.
In the Amazon rainforest, this impact is becoming especially alarming. So much land has been cleared for agriculture that the rainforest, once a major carbon sink, is now at risk of becoming a net carbon emitter. That means instead of absorbing CO2, it could start releasing more than it stores, making climate change even harder to control.
As global demand for meat and dairy continues to rise, the number of livestock animals increases, leading to more methane emissions. This surge in methane worsens the greenhouse effect, causing a rise in global temperatures.
Higher temperatures bring serious consequences. For example, disrupted weather patterns, extreme weather events like floods and heat waves, and declining crop productivity in many regions, especially those already vulnerable to food insecurity. So, in short, the consequences of livestock farming aren't just about what's happening on the farm. It's about what's happening to the whole planet. From vanishing rainforests to a warming world, the effects are massive and urgent.
58.2% of Punjab's agricultural economy is the livestock sector. It is the main region of Pakistan which is the hub of agriculture and livestock due to its climatic features. This is why it contributes to Pakistan's greenhouse emissions. However, Pakistan is coming up with helpful solutions by scheduling regular trainings for farmers to transfer the latest environmentally friendly technology like precision livestock farming and smart farming into their agricultural practices.
Livestock farming is one of Pakistan's biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, especially methane.
According to Dawn News in 2021, agriculture contributes 25% of Pakistan's total GHG emissions, with livestock as the largest source. A World Bank study in 2022 states livestock now makes up 36% of national GHG emissions. Animal waste is especially harmful, roughly 60% methane and 40% carbon dioxide.
Deforestation for grazing worsens emissions by releasing stored carbon. As Pakistan's population grows and diets change, demand for livestock and its emissions will rise unless changes are made. Pakistan is already the fifth most climate change vulnerable country, facing heat waves, water shortages, and erratic rainfall that threatens food security and agriculture.
Despite these issues, livestock is vital for Pakistan's economy, especially in rural areas, providing income, food labor, and transport. Still, it contributes to 41% of agriculture-related emissions.
Climate change is already reducing livestock productivity, impacting milk, eggs, meat, and animal health, with studies warning of a 20 to 30% drop. This could lead to food shortages and price hikes. However, solutions exist. Climate-smart practices like improved animal feed to reduce methane, better manure management, for example, anaerobic digesters, low-emission breeds, carbon-trapping land practices, farmer training, and sustainable care are key.
The UN and World Bank stress that sustainable livestock is essential. With proper education, policies, and tech, Pakistan can reduce emissions and build a resilient future.
According to the report titled Livestock's Long Shadow, written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, globally, 18% of human-caused greenhouse gas emissions are the emissions produced by livestock agriculture, which has a larger share in toxic gases than the transportation sector. The report also mentioned that land use change was an indirect greenhouse emission source. Land change use is when land that serves as a carbon sink. For example, forests are cleared for agricultural practices like the making of pastures.
Brazil, the Amazon rainforest was set on fire so the land could be cleared for these practices. As a result, Brazil's greenhouse emissions for 2020 rose by 9.5% due to the forest burning.
In 2023, agricultural processes such as crop and livestock production were accountable for 11% of global greenhouse gas emissions. The agricultural sector is the biggest anthropogenic source of methane gas. The California and United States Environmental Protection Agency has stated that direct livestock emissions from manure and enteric fermentation are responsible for less than 3% of total United States and California anthropogenic greenhouse emissions. In conclusion, livestock farming and its contributors to climate change are crucial to focus on. We must take a step towards reducing or slowing down climate change, otherwise we will have two very different futures. The way your children and grandchildren will live depends on what decisions are made today. Here are some facts we would like to share. If we take no action on climate change, the US Global Change Research Program declared that by the 2030s glaciers will melt at a rapid pace. Ice caps and crucial ice sheets will melt, swelling sea levels by 20 centimeters.
NOAA stated that 90% of coral reefs are threatened by human activity, while around 60% are highly endangered.
The World Bank mentioned that declining crop yields have pushed 100 million more people into extreme poverty.
And IPCC proclaimed that 8% of the global population has seen a severe reduction in water availability.